Right, so welcome back to another video on this channel. Welcome back to another episode of my Premier League Game Week predictions, and this is of course now Game Week 24. Last weekend I did get myself 6 points, which isn't too bad, but I will say I didn't get any correct scores right. However, I did get 6 correct results right, so yeah, we'll definitely be looking to better that 6 points this weekend. But before I do that, I would like to quickly thank you guys first and foremost for hitting 1,400 subscribers, which we did of course hit in the last few days, so yeah, thank you very much for that. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so, because we are now looking at 1,500 subscribers as soon as we possibly can. So if you do hit that subscribe button, it would cost you absolutely nothing and would make my day, so it is very much a win-win situation. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into predicting these Premier League Game Week 24 fixtures. Starting off at the King Power Stadium, the Saturday afternoon kickoff, and that is Leicester City versus Liverpool. Now, it's all gone wrong for Liverpool since Christmas. They've only won 2 of their last 9 Premier League games. Obviously, they got smashed at Anfield last weekend by Manchester City in that 4-1 rout, and yeah, well and truly out of the title race now, I think you could fairly say. Not the kind of game they'd want right now at this moment in time whatsoever, because of course Leicester City, as I've said multiple times on this channel in the past, are a very strong side, a very balanced side, and yeah, of course are sitting just above Liverpool in the Premier League table in 3rd at this moment in time. And I did beat Brighton 1-0 in the FA Cup during the week, courtesy of an injury time winner from Kelechi Iheanacho, and Liverpool though have had a week to recuperate, because of course they did not feature in the FA Cup during midweek. Leicester missing the likes of Wesley Fofana, Timothy Castagne, those kind of players who are, massive misses for them. Liverpool of course do have injuries though themselves, as we all know. We won't get into detail about that, and yeah, for some reason I just feel like Liverpool will just about edge this one. I think they will just about get back to winning ways with a massive win here, and that is why I've gone for Leicester 1, Liverpool 2, and yeah, as I said, a massive win for Liverpool here if they were to get it at the King Power Stadium. Now to the second game, and that is of course taking place at Selhurst Park, and that is Crystal Palace versus Burnley. Palace of course did lose on Monday night to Leeds United at Elland Road, and they were missing Wilfried Zaha and still are missing Zaha, and if I'm honest, they just look really miserable without Zaha in the team. They look void of ideas, void of creativity, and to be honest, I feel like they'll struggle to win, pretty much any Premier League game without Wilfried Zaha in the starting 11. Burnley though themselves were dumped out of the FA Cup in midweek in that 2-0 defeat to Bournemouth, and yet to win since that double act win against Liverpool and Aston Villa a few weeks ago. And yeah, they do have a few injury doubts for this game as well, like Josh Brownhill, Chris Wood, and yeah, if I'm being perfectly honest, I just feel like this game has a 0-0 draw written all over it, but every time I predict a 0-0 draw on this YouTube channel, it always doesn't end up like that, so that is why I'm going to go for Crystal Palace 1, Burnley 1. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw instead. Yes, I know, very original, but yeah, I just feel like neither team will have the sheer firepower to overturn the other one, but I just do feel like it will be a draw, and I think it will be 1-1. Now onto the game at the Etihad, and undoubtedly the game of the weekend, and that is Manchester City versus Tottenham. Now City just looking absolutely invincible right now, haven't actually lost since that defeat against Spurs in November, where of course Jose Mourinho's men did come up trumps at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They're 5 points clear now at the top of the table, ahead of Manchester United with the game in hand as well, and Spurs looking mightily the opposite if I'm honest, because of course the fans aren't happy at this moment in time. Jose Mourinho seems to be under a bit of pressure, and they've only won 1 of their last 4 league games, of course knocked out in that 5-4 thriller in the FA Cup in midweek to Everton, so you know what, not really looking good for Spurs at this moment in time. However, they do have Harry Kane back from injury, which is absolutely huge for them, because they do rely massively on Kane in my opinion. City themselves missing Kevin De Bruyne, even though it doesn't really look that noticeable because other players have been stepping up in his absence, and to be honest, I do think Spurs will try and go for a bit of a 3 at the back formation in this game to try and prohibit City's free-flowing attack, but I do still think that City will win. I don't think it'll be a rout whatsoever, but I do think that City will still marginally win this one. You can't bet against them at this moment of time with the form they are on, and that's why I've gone for Manchester City 1, Tottenham 0, and yeah, I think that City will marginally win this one and continue their great run to the top of the Premier League table. Now onto the game at the Amex, and that is Brighton & Hove Albion versus Aston Villa. Now Brighton have really turned a corner in the Premier League over the last month or two. They're now 5 unbeaten in the league, even without Tarek Lamptey, who I've constantly said on this channel is a massive miss for them down that right wing back position. As I said though, they did lose in midweek to Leicester in the FA Cup, which might have knocked a bit of their stuffing out of them, and yeah, this will be a very tough game for them against an Aston Villa side who, yes, have been quite inconsistent since the new year, but they're still a very strong and very balanced team, and of course did win 1-0 against Arsenal on Saturday afternoon last weekend, and yeah, they do have a fully fit squad for this one as well. And for that reason, as well as the fact of course that Aston Villa didn't play in the FA Cup during the week, so they will have had a week's rest, I do think that Aston Villa will take some beating in this one, and that is why I've gone for Brighton 0, Aston Villa 2, and yeah, for some reason I just can't really see Brighton having any sniff of a chance in this game, but of course I could very well be wrong, because yeah, the Premier League this season has been absolutely bonkers. Now onto the next game, and that is at St Mary's, and that is Southampton versus Wolves. Now these two sides literally played an hour before I've actually made this video, and of course Southampton did come out 2-0 winners to get into the next round of the FA Cup, but in the league it's just all gone wrong for Southampton. Of course they've lost the last 5 games in the Premier League. However, there is a bit of a bright spark for them, because they do have Kyle Walker-Peters back from injury, and Takumi Minamino, who of course did sign on loan from Liverpool on deadline day, who did score in his debut last weekend. And Wolves themselves haven't really been doing wonders this season by any stretch of imagination either, because since losing Raul Jimenez they've been really poor in the league, and although they have got 4 points from a possible 6 in their last 2 games, their form before those 2 games was just absolutely woeful, and of course they still need a little bit of convincing to actually raise the table once again. I can kind of see the beginning of a Southampton resurgence after those 5 defeats on the bounce in the Premier League, especially with that win tonight against Wolves in the FA Cup, but I just think Wolves have a very, very strong team on paper, and for that reason I think they will manage to just about get a point against Southampton, and that is why I've gone for Southampton 1, Wolves 1, and yeah, I just feel like a draw. I just can't really separate these 2 sides, and I feel like a draw is a fair result. Now onto the next game, and that is at the Hawthorns, and that is West Brom versus Manchester United. Now I just feel West Brom at this moment in time, they're just here to make up the numbers in the league at this stage. I mean, no disrespect, but I'm pretty sure we all can agree, even West Brom fans, that they're as good as down in the Premier League at this moment in time. They've only got 1 point from the last 5 games in the Premier League. However, they do actually have a very good record against the title contenders, especially away from home, and United well and truly bottled it against Everton last weekend in that 3-3 draw, and scraped past a very solid West Ham team in the FA Cup in midweek as well. They played a very strong side there as well, so obviously fatigue could very much play a factor in Manchester United in this performance, but I just think that United simply should have enough to win this game. I think West Brom will, make it somewhat tense for United overall, but I do think United should have too much quality, too much firepower to lose to this West Brom team, and for that reason I've gone for West Brom 1, Manchester United 3. I just think Manchester United will have just too much not to beat this West Brom team at the Hawthorns. Now onto the game at the Emirates, and another one that I think actually could have potential to be one of the games of the weekend, and that is Arsenal versus Leeds United at the Emirates, of course, and although last time I said it was going to be a very good game, it did end goalless, but this time it won't be, just trust me on that one. Leeds just a point above Arsenal in the league table, of course is 10th against 11th in this game, and Leeds of course did beat Crystal Palace fairly comfortably on Monday Night Football. As I said, Rafinha really on form once again, he's really showing to be an absolute coup from Rennes in the summer, and Leeds I feel like are a very dangerous team for most sides in the Premier League this season. Arsenal now have back-to-back defeats in the Premier League, of course both in the Midlands against Wolves and Aston Villa respectively. The pressure well and truly back on them now, and made even harder their task with the injuries to Kieran Tierney and Thomas Partey for this one. And yeah, it's just 2 fresh sides after a week off, because of course neither of these sides did feature in the FA Cup in midweek, and for that reason I think it'll be an actually great spectacle. I think it will be very high scoring, and I've gone for Arsenal 2, Leeds 2, and yeah, I just do feel like this will be a very entertaining game. Now onto the next game, which is at Goodison Park, and that is Everton versus Fulham. Now Everton of course will be on very good confidence after that win against Spurs, that 5-4 win in midweek, and of course taking a late point off Manchester United at Old Trafford last weekend, and of course they do have Alan back for this game as well, which is absolutely huge because we all know how much of a significance he can have on this Everton team, even though he probably won't play this weekend because they probably have a lack of match sharpness. In terms of Fulham, I just feel like they're drawing too much, they're not winning enough games, and to be honest, I actually don't think they're losing as many games as a lot of people think they are, because if you put it into perspective, Fulham have actually only lost 1 more game than Leeds United this season, which says a lot considering the fact that Leeds are up in 10th place in the Premier League table. So it just does seem like Fulham are just not turning their draws into wins enough, and they do have a new striker in Josh Maja who could very much make his first start in a Fulham shirt. Could he be the difference between them staying up and going down? Who knows? I just do think it'll be really tough for Fulham to stay up at this stage, especially with the gap between themselves and the outside teams in the relegation places. However, I will actually say this because Everton of course did play 120 minutes of football against Tottenham in midweek in the FA Cup. Fulham had a rest, they didn't of course feature in the FA Cup in midweek, and for that reason I'm going to back my boys Fulham. I'm going to go with Everton 1, Fulham 2. For some reason I can just feel a Fulham win here, especially with the fact that Everton, they'll have a lot of players low on fitness, low on sharpness, and for that reason I think that Fulham will nick a huge, massive win at Goodison Park. On to the next game now, and that is at the London Stadium, West Ham United versus Sheffield United. Now of course West Ham did draw with Fulham at Craven Cottage last weekend, Thomas Souček picking up an absolutely laughable red card, which of course has since been rescinded. West Ham 6th in the Premier League at this moment in time, which is just absolute madness. I don't think anyone would have expected that at the start of the season, and as I keep saying on this channel, David Moyes doing an absolutely unbelievable job there. They are missing Angelo Ogbonna, who is of course a doubt for this game, but other than that they do have a fully fit squad for this one. Sheffield United did get themselves through in the FA Cup in midweek with a 1-0 win over Bristol City, and their form has really been hit and miss in the last few weeks, and for that reason I just feel like they're like West Brom in terms of the fact that I think they've dug too deep a hole to survive at this stage in the Premier League, but of course who knows, as I keep saying. West Ham are just so hard to bet against this season in the Premier League, and I think they're a very well drilled team with a lot of quality going backwards and forwards up the pitch, and for that reason I think they will get themselves a marginal win over Sheffield United. I've gone for West Ham 2, Sheffield United 1, with another Jesse Lingard goal in there, and yeah, West Ham once again keeping their winning form up and running. And on to the final game of this game week, the Monday Night Football, my club Chelsea versus Newcastle at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea of course under Thomas Tuchel have taken 10 points from a possible 12 in his first 4 games in charge. I see a lot more energy in our play, I see a lot more urgency, and overall we're playing a lot better under Thomas Tuchel. It's just that the conviction isn't 100% there yet, and that is why I feel like we definitely are gettable, especially with the fact that Thiago Silva is injured for this one, which will of course make us a lot more gettable at the back. On to Newcastle, they are missing Callum Wilson, which I just think is absolutely massive. That's basically the major news for this game, because I think Callum Wilson is such an important player for this Newcastle team. Newcastle also dealing with a very makeshift defence as well, and for all those reasons I do think that Newcastle will slowly begin to creep down the table once again. However, I simply don't want to dismiss this game because Newcastle will provide a threat for us as they usually do. They somehow seem to be a bogey team for us most years in the Premier League. I don't want to completely dismiss them for that reason. However, I do feel like we should win this relatively comfortably. I feel like we will win this comfortably, and that is why, you know what, I'm going to go for Chelsea 4, Newcastle 0, a resounding win for Thomas Tuchel's men. And yeah, Chelsea well and truly getting themselves back into the top 4 race with a statement of intent over Newcastle in a 4-0 victory. And yeah, so those are all my Game Week 24 predictions. If you want to go and of course leave your predictions for these games down in the comment section below, please feel free to do so because I'm very interested to see how you guys think these games will pan out. And yeah, that is where we're going to end this video. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like. As per usual, 20 likes would be massively appreciated by myself. And as I said at the start of this video, if you could hit that subscribe button, it would be very much appreciated because we are of course now looking to hit 1,500 subscribers on this channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. See ya.